In this video, we're going to learn about events and event handlers in JavaScript. JavaScript applications usually respond to user actions like clicking a button. When somebody clicks a button, that's called an event. Or sometimes when a mouse goes over a certain something on your page, that can be an event. The functions that handle those events are called event handlers. They're just a function that we attach to the event. So when the event happens, the function runs. Take a look at some of the common events we might work with. Their window has a load event, okay, and that is automatically triggered when the whole page has been loaded in the web browser, including style sheets and all the images and everything else. We don't use that one as often as we use the next one, and that's the document DOM content loaded, the document object model. So when the HTML document is completely loaded into the browser and the DOM is ready, the document object model has been generated by the browser, then this event will automatically run. And that'll become important to us later. Common events you probably think of right offhand, somebody clicks a button. That's a very common event where we might write a function that runs when somebody clicks on a button. There are, for controls or links, like if somebody puts their cursor into a text box and it gets focus, or they leave that text box and it gets blur, we can write functions for those events. Anytime somebody changes a control in some way or selects a control, or clicks on any element, really, double clicks on any element, moves their mouse over an element or their mouse into an element or mouse out. Those are all events that we can write code that will run when those events happen. So let's look at the syntax for the add event listener method. Basically, we have to give it a target, and then we have to say add event listener, and we give it the name of the event, and the name of the event are these names we looked at back here. And then we can tell it what event handler function we want to run when that event happens on this particular object. So let's look at an example here. Here's an event handler named joinList. Okay, so it's a function called joinList. Doesn't take any parameters. And all it does is pop up an alert that says the statements for this function go here. So we can put anything we want between the curly braces. So we write the function, and then we attach the function to an event. And in this case, they're going out, they're using the dollar function. So we'll be using that a lot, right? The dollar function is going to look for the item that has an ID of submit button, which is, we have to assume, is our submit button. And to that submit button that we query from the page there, we're going to add an event listener for the click event. And when that submit button gets clicked on, it's going to call the function joinList. Now notice we don't have parentheses after joinList. We don't have an open and close parentheses because we're not calling the function here. We're just attaching the event listener to this item and naming the function that we want to be attached to that event. If we actually put the parentheses there, it would automatically run the joinList function. We don't want that. So we put the name of the function without parentheses as the second item of the add event listener method. So we have this event handler named joinList, and we just attached it to a button. Down here, we're attaching the event handler to a double click event of the text box. So in this case, whatever text box has text box 1 assigned to it, we're going to query that using the query selector, the dollar function. We're going to find that text box. We're going to add event listener. If somebody double clicks it, we're going to call joinList, which is the same function we used here. So we can assign the same function to multiple controls if we want to. And there's also a way that we can remove an event listener if we need to. And it follows the same syntax. Instead of add event listener, it's remove event listener, and it has the same options. So that's the basics of attaching an event handler to an event.